All right, so we all know that right now Bryan Kohberger is sitting in an Idaho prison, right? He's awaiting trial for the murders of 4 college students. But tonight, I can report to you exclusively that authorities in Pennsylvania, where he was arrested, are investigating potential involvement in other outstanding homicides.
Wow. What's up, guys? True Crime King back. It's April 6th, 2023, and we kind of have some breaking news. So, as you just heard, NewsNation is reporting that law enforcement is looking at Bryan Kohberger, the Idaho killer that killed the 4 students, as a possible serial killer. Let's see what else they got. Here we go.
Now, how would this work and why would they be doing this? We have answers. Retired FBI agent and NewsNation legal contributor Jennifer Coffindaffer and high-profile trial attorney Mark Garagos. Counselor,
That Jennifer Coffindaffer, she looks different every time I see her.
You had heard similar to what I just reported, yes?
Yes, I have heard similar, and not just in this case, but virtually every high-profile case that is a circumstantial murder case, evidence murder case, you almost inevitably hear of some other unsolved murder.
Well, this isn't just a circumstantial case. They have DNA.
Law enforcement looks to see if they can link whoever the suspect is.
And why that is?
Well, for one thing, I suppose it fills a vacuum. Why did somebody do this when you don't have a motive? That is the most obvious, excuse me, explanation. Thank you. And also, you know, the cynic in me, the defense lawyer in me, always suspects that it's a way to dirty somebody up. I mean, you know, if there's any doubt as to the presumption of innocence, all you got to do is throw in the fact that he's also suspected of homicides that occurred in some other jurisdiction, and let that kind of gain a foothold in the zeitgeist, if you will.
Well,
and it's hard to combat that. How do you...
Yeah. Well, who knows though? I mean, Kohberger, you don't just start out at killing 4 people, right? I mean, obviously he was stalking at least one of these girls, and in my opinion, he definitely could very well be involved in multiple or at least one other murder, right?
How do you prove that?
On balance, I understand the concern, and certainly the presumption must be preserved. However, he's got plenty of problems on his plate in terms of what he's got to deal with. They don't need to smear him. Coffindaffer, great to have you.
The cops aren't just doing this to try and dirty Kohberger's name even more, right? They must have something that you know, looks similar, or multiple other murders that have similar circumstances, right? Or they wouldn't be looking.
Help us understand from the investigative perspective what it is that they see in Kohberger that makes them think, to the extent that it's not just automatic that they do this.
And remember, Mark Garagos was a defense attorney, right? So he's always going to be thinking from the defense point of view.
What kinds of things here would spark that kind of interest, and what would they be doing?
Well, specifically, if they have a case that fits the modus operandi, which is just fancy words for the way of doing something that matches what happened in Idaho, for instance, is the target a young, beautiful co-ed? Was the weapon of choice a knife? Was the arrival and departure of the individual in a vehicle as opposed to being dropped off or by foot? Was the time chosen at this 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock time frame? How about the surveillance, geo-tracking, if you will, that would have been done of the phones? Did something like that occur at this location, at a location they're looking at, to show this time frame? And then finally, is there any surveillance or witness account of somebody being dressed like Bryan Kohberger dressed?
Creepy, bushy eyebrows. is how Dylan described him. His bushy eyebrows. They're probably not going to get many hits on that, but maybe the tall, 5'10" creeper, half face mask kind of thing, all black. Yeah, I'm sure they have some of those, right?
And in your experience, looking into something like this, they were not anxious to talk about it. No one said to me that this is pro forma, that this is what we do all the time. Do you see this as a signature type crime that might be noticeable in other cases?
I think it is a signature type crime. I mean, this is a vicious crime with a K-bar knife. It's unusual. It was a co-ed on campus. So if they're looking at something very specific that's
Look at that knife. I mean, some of you guys wonder how one person could kill three, small women and a man, right? While they were in bed in their rooms, right? Well, look at that knife, right? I mean, if a guy has a knife and he has the element of surprise, right? And then he comes into your house and you're not expecting it, and you don't have a knife or anything to defend yourself, it's gonna be pretty hard to fight that knife off, right? I mean, yeah, I believe Bryan could have pulled this off by himself, but what she was just talking about, it's not like the BTK killings where he always, tied up and binded and tortured and dressed up in his little panties and all that kind of shit, right? But, it's definitely a stabbing kind of murder. I guess it could be copycatted and stuff like that. But, yeah, it's not as common or like the BTK kind of thing.
solved with these parameters, they're probably looking in the right direction.
One other quick step on this. Councilor Garagos, the other thread of speculation that's out there right now, this I can actually report. I know that they're doing it. But we also hear, well, they're looking very closely at how he may have known any of these victims. How do you deal on the defense side with someone who has no reason to know these girls, knowing these girls or following them on social media or even being in their DMs?
Well, I think the first thing that the defense has done, I guess,
being in their DMs, it kind of sounds weird now that, everybody is saying that no matter what age you are, right? Used to be just like a high school, college kind of thing, right?
guarantee you they've already taken a deep dive into the social media. That's one of the first things you do. Besides running background checks, that's one of the other tasks that you give your people to do in a defense is I want everything on social media. I want a deep dive.
Right.
I want you to scrub it and tell me what's there. Now, if there's a connection, then that's going to be something you're going to have to plumb and deal with. There was also reported early on that there may have been in the search at his apartment or location, some other indicia or connection to the victims of this. And if that is the case, you're going to focus like a laser on that because that is something that is going to be front and center in any prosecutorial presentation of evidence.
Hey,
thanks. Well, hope you liked it, guys. Hit that like button for me. And until next time, True Crime King, out.